Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. The first story is, woman wanted to return the product, but this was contrary to company policy. The second story, stepmother supports her kids in torturing me as a child, and tells me she doesn't care if I'm gone. 10 years later, I force her to sell the house and dogs. On to the first story. Any doesn't mean including electronics. So earlier this year, I had a sweet moment. So background, I worked a local equal to Walmart. We have a fairly lenient return policy of 90 days for pretty much any reason you want, from didn't want to tasted/felt funny, and even I just got it cheaper. The last one has its own button, and if enough people return to a product for that reason, it goes up for review. The only exception is electronics, which is 30 days and added restrictions due to high theft, etc. Note there's a sign that hangs above the desk with a short list of policies on it. Day in question is me, B is B, who his prior interactions had always been a fairly okay customer, and the 4 managers as the squad. B had brought in a PS4 Pro plus fancy version, Nintendo Switch, PS4 VR set, and a Google Home. Wanted to return them all, totaling $14.50 cash each on separate receipts. No rewards program was used on any of them, to at least have some way to know they were all purchased by B, all from a different store in our market region. B: Hi, I'd like to return these, please. Me: do you have... B: Here's the slips. Me: I'm gonna have to call for approval of all this, sorry. One moment while I call the manager in charge. B: Fine. Part 1 of 4 of the squad. This is 1 of 4. Me: Hi, 2 of 4. Answering with wrong name or call Mr., Mrs., etc. were ways we could tell the person on the other end this was an illegitimate transaction. I have a customer here returning stuff equaling $14.50. 4 separate receipts. Cash. From store number. 1 of 4. No. They need to go back where they got it from. Me: That's what I thought, thanks. I then proceed to explain to the customer that due to the high value and nature of the return, that I cannot do a return, and she'd have to go back to the store where the purchase was made. She explains she cannot make the 40-minute round trip, not including wait time and return times, etc., to the other store, because her family was meeting her to go camping in 2 hours. Camping about 20 to 30 minutes south of our store. Yes, it sucks having to go almost equidistance in the opposite direction to return something, but I digress. B: What do you mean you won't return it? Me: My manager stated that due to the separate receipts, cash, high-value items, you have to go back to where you got the items from. B: I already told you, I can't. It doesn't even say on the sign anywhere there about this new transaction, just that it has to be within 30 days, and it's day 29 on them all. They were also all purchased on the same day. Me: I don't mean to be rude, but if you read the full sign, the last line says, "Store reserves the right to restrict or refuse any returns or exchanges." B, who now seemed caught off guard: But it doesn't specifically state electronics. Me: No, but it says any. That means by definition, it would include electronics. B: I know what the F any means, but the sign doesn't say electronics, so it cannot be used that way. Now, I'm close to done with her and her crap at this point, and normally I don't do this, but something about this situation just put me off in the worst ways. Me: Ma'am, by store policy, A, any includes electronics in this case, and B, swearing at an employee constitutes as verbal abuse and is not tolerated by this company, and I'm B. I don't effing care if you feel your feelings are hurt. Tell you what, return the PS4 Pro and I'll come back later with the rest. Guess camping wasn't too important. Me: Right. As of this moment, I'm refusing you service. Please wait while I contact my manager, the manager in charge, and store security. While I'm on the phone to the manager in charge, who picks up to hear what she says next. B: Listen here, effer, that sign doesn't say you can deny a customer service, and since you're a service worker, you need to serve me, now. I don't even get a hello or anything. They just hang up and comes the manager in charge, second in charge, my manager, and store security. B exclaims that now there's someone who can do something, and that I didn't know how to do my job. They turn to me and I explain myself. Me: I simply told her what you had said, then informed her of our policy concerning returns and refunds, explained the meaning of any to include electronics, explained where to get a full legalized copy of our return policy, and the corporate policy regarding abusive working conditions pertaining to customer treatment of employees. Squad: So, before you go off, no, we won't return all of this or any of it. B: You, 1 of squad. Second, we do not tolerate our employees being treated in such a manner. 2 of squad. The other store is only 20 minutes up the road and not really all that far. If this is as big of a deal as you say, your family will understand you being a little late for your camping trip. Then chimes in the store security, who was a county sheriff before, being given a high salary to work for our company. During the whole thing, the 3 of the squad is just trying not to laugh. Security of squad. Fourthly, technically what you did is a ticketable offense, and while not much, it's still $100. Can't remember the exact amount, and I can have someone here in 5 minutes to take care of all this for us. There's a moment of silence before the customer just leaves. I'm offered an additional break as per contract regarding such situations, but turn it down, as I'm just happy they made her leave. I got a call from the store security where she purchased the items from an hour later, and promptly explained everything. She was denied. The one thing we failed to mention to her, I was later told, because she didn't ask and it never crossed my mind, is that our store is private property, so you cannot ticket or fine someone for swearing out loud and causing a vocal disturbance. This wasn't the most impressive malicious compliance, but just a lot of little ones that gave me a smug hop to my step that day. So the thing with this kind of return is that usually they'll have these products damaged or broken at home, buy new ones on separate receipts, place the old product in the package, then return it. They split the orders up and usually do one return at a time at different stores. But the issue with any device that has the capacity to store personal information of any kind, even IP address of home Wi-Fi and nothing more, means it has to be destroyed. We can't wipe it or anything. If there's a risk to consumer data, it's destroyed. We also check serial numbers and all that to verify the item in the box is indeed the item being returned. But we have people all too often trying to return empty boxes. Boxes with wood in it, wrong items, food, etc. Or another one that happens every so often is people sift through trash cans for receipts. Steal the items usually from the store, but since all these items are locked up, it'd be from a friend or family member, and then return them. Also, please don't get me wrong, 9 times out of 10 management adheres to customer is always right, except when an employee is being mistreated. At my store at least, a customer mistreating an employee is like poking a hornet's nest. But to unpack that loaded sentence, management has little issue with mistreatment. They don't swear or call you names, but they're almost abusive with availability. Scheduling people days and times they can't work, to force a call-in, and then save on weekly hours, etc. The works. But they have it just as bad. Corporate and regional management walkthroughs often lead to moments of managers pulling their hair out, usually not literally, in frustration, going home sick, or in one case making our store director walk off the job in tears in front of customers. So overall, SH place for all involved. But that may also just be our store, as I hear other stores are better. People do impulse buy. Sucks. People also scam stores all the time. Also sucks. This lady had no way to prove she made all these transactions. It was cash and no rewards program. No way to try and prove it was all her. We probably would have for any one of these items, but for $14.50 we're not. In the past we would have, however, because of high scam rates and people just in general taking advantage of our return policy. It's gotten more restrictive. So yeah, she may have been legitimate, but with all the red flags I was getting, I wasn't going to potentially risk my job for it. Neither were any managers. And from the sounds of it, the other store's security knew of her. So, if this wasn't electronics, I promise they would have said yes, as long as the customer wasn't being verbally abusive, which no manager at my store tolerates. The next story is how I screwed my stepmom over the moment I had the legal option to do so. Backstory. When I was about 9 to 10, my parents got a separation, later a divorce, where my dad forced my mom to sell my childhood home, and my mom got main custody with my dad having us. They had me and my 4 years younger sister, over every other weekend plus every other holiday. He moved out only to immediately move in with the stepmonster and her 3 kids. The youngest was 2 years younger than me and a boy, the middle a year older than me and female, and I'm not sure about the oldest age, but she was also female. I never interacted much with her. In an ideal world, us 4 kids would have gotten along great, played together and whatnot, or at least ignored the existence of the others. Sadly, it's not an ideal world, and that didn't happen. My sister got along with them just fine. I didn't. Maybe it was my then still undiagnosed Asperger's syndrome. Maybe it was me not instantly going, yay, new family. But the step-siblings didn't like me. They started bullying me, and my little sister joined in because she adored her new step-family, and she was just 7 at the time. Over the first 6 months, the bullying got worse, and worse, until I broke and tried to call home and get picked up. At which point, my dad decided to start confiscating my phone, as the first thing he did when picking us up. The bullying escalated even more. There was nothing I could do. The stepmonster defended her precious demon spawn, calling me a liar and saying things like, My kids said they didn't do whatever they did or said to hurt me that day. Or, she's just lying for attention. During the next year, I would try to run away from my dad's place a few more times to go to family. They live less than 40 minutes walk away from an aunt and about 1.5 hours away from my grandparents. Then my dad and the stepmonster moved over 2 hours by car away from where my mom lived. Things got so bad that I dreaded going to see my dad. Sitting at every dinner, the only time I would see my dad at that point between pickup and drop off, listening to my dad calling my mom a fat, greedy pig, and other evil things hurt. Since I would only see the stepmonster, mostly when she told me to get the heck out and play or something, just get out of the house, I tried telling her that I wanted to leave my house, that I didn't want to keep living like this anymore. Her response? I don't care. Get the F outside already. Not long after that, I had a meltdown at school, crying for hours and unleashing the whole nasty tale onto them. Since my school was a good one, the teachers contacted CPS, who talked with me, ran some tests, and sent me to a psychologist. At some point, they contacted my dad with their concerns for my mental and emotional well-being. My dad dealt with it by calling me, saying, since you feel the need to lie like that, you shouldn't come visit anymore. Stay with your mom. I don't care. That was my last conversation with him, although I heard a lot about him and the stepmonster from my sister. Now for my revenge. 10 years or so later, I get a phone call from my dad's sister about him passing, car accident, and funeral. I went and I met the stepmonster again, obviously widowed now, and my half-brother for the first time. During the funeral and following the wake, she proceeds to insult me, and my mom and the rest of my dad's family. Then she starts complaining about how his name is on everything they had together, and how she's going to keep the house. It was paid down, but taxes and whatnot. Now, she never worked a day in her life, and such thing. Which is where my revenge comes to play. See, in my country, the children of the deceased have a right to claim a minimum of $115,000 each, if there's that much money or value in good left behind, and there's no will stating otherwise. The actual sum we got was closer to $1 million each in our currency. Normally, this claim comes after the deceased spouse also dies, or when they try to sell the property worth the money, whichever comes first. Normally. See, legally, the children can claim it at any time. They just don't because decency and pity for the widow. Too bad I hate her and both the youngest step-siblings. As it so happens, my dad and the step-monster own some award-winning show dogs, the house, the land, and a car. The step-monster also got some insurance money, plus she'll get a sum of about 60% of what my dad would earn if he was still alive every month. If my dad had a will, she could have kept all that for herself or my half-brother. He didn't, and by that time, my sister also hated her. So I talked to her and did the only thing I could think of. We took her to court to claim our inheritance. Sure, we got many looks of disgust and mutters of greediness, but in the end we won, and I got my share of the money. My sister got hers, and our half-brother got his, locked in a trust fund for when he turns 18. This meant that the house, dogs, and car had to be sold. The insurance money also got split, so us kids each got around $115,000 each, in a trust fund for my half-brother. As for the step-monster, she got around $1,000, and the monthly sum of around $3,700. She was livid, started screaming venomous SH, saying how's she gonna live now? She has no house. And how dare you force me to sell Grimer? Obviously fake name for my half-brother's childhood home, and calling me a B and other such things. The judge had to threaten her with contempt of court and get her escorted out before she stopped. Also, the dogs in question got good home, and was not family dogs kept at home, and the step-monster did have the option to buy us kids out and kept them. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.